All right, Carmelia, we are here today, and I have a few questions for you, the
Okay.
content queen and content entrepreneur.
Okay.
What are your best tips and insights for video lighting?
Video lighting. Well, as you can tell, I'm very well lit right now. Lighting is super, super important. So when it comes down, natural light is always the best. Right now, we're inside the owner suite of Shangri-La, so there isn't natural lighting. I am using an LED light that I purchased at Vistec. I usually buy my camera equipment either at Vistec or Best Buy or Amazon, but I make sure that it emulates sort of the natural daylight. You never want to be backlit because a lot of times when I see people even on Zoom, their head is behind the window. So anytime that you can use natural daylight, I would do that. Ring lights suffice. Sometimes people don't like that effect where they have the ring in their eye, but I think most beauty influencers and people today are used to that look. So that's what I would say. Lighting is very, very important.
And would you say it's appropriate for people starting out to just film content on their phones, or do they need a camera?
I think today, depending on the level of your phone, most smartphones have a decent camera. I don't know anybody that doesn't really have at least an iPhone or Samsung or whatnot. Sound is also equally important, right? Nobody wants to see a grainy, blurry picture or someone in the dark, and nobody wants to have to struggle to hear what someone's saying. So sound and lighting, I would say, are two things I would pay close attention to.
And how would you recommend an entrepreneur who wants to get into content creation get into content creation as a beginner?
I think it's just important to film yourself. If you want to get into content creation, a lot of people struggle with how they look, right? I get it. I still want to make sure that for my brand and for myself, we all have these concerns about looking good and being judged. But at the same time, if you notice TikTok followers and most people today, they really want to see the woman without makeup, the messiness behind the scenes. When you see influencers who are done up and then the next day, like they've got acne or dark eyes or, their house is a mess, like people can relate more to your flaws and your imperfections than they can that, I wake up like this. Nobody wakes up like this. I don't wake up like this. So I would say when it comes to shooting content, put the camera in front of your face, get used to speaking in front of a camera, and lose the judgment. I would focus more on what you're trying to say, your expertise. How are you helping people? What is it that you're going to say that's going to actually help someone else? If it's all about you, most people don't follow somebody just because of them. They follow it for inspiration, entertainment. There's a reason that they're following this person.
And how do you figure out what to talk about? Say if you're an entrepreneur in the beauty niche or if you're in a completely different niche, like how do you figure out what to talk about?
I would talk about if you're in a business, if you're in a service business, I would speak about the issues or challenges that come up every day in your business. As a dating coach, as a matchmaker, I answer questions and I share stories that are happening in my everyday business. If I'm dealing with a client and they have a specific situation, that is something that I'll probably have content for, that I know that if my client is struggling with this question, then likely there are other people that have similar questions. So start with talking about the problems that you're already trying to solve for yourself or the problems that you're trying to solve for your clients if you're in that service business.
And how do you plan out your content?
Planning out your content, a lot of people will talk about these content pillars, right? They'll choose different subjects or topics that they want to talk about as it relates to their audience. Whoever's watching, they're thinking, what do I talk about? Again, it comes down to what are the daily issues that are happening in your clients' lives? What are the questions that people continue to ask you? What are the things that you are struggling with that you research and look for? What did you learn? A lot of times people want to hear those nuggets. What can you share that will help someone fast track a learning, an insight, a lesson that you found of value? That is something that I would think about when thinking about content.
And do you use any tools to help you I guess, exponentiate your content workflow?
Well, obviously I use OneClick. OneClick is the everyday tool that I use. And part of that is because I'm already producing content. So part of creating content and creating video, now if you want to share that video across all of these different platforms, a lot of people are using these AI tools. They're taking their content, they're using OpenAI or ChatGPT or whatever AI tool they're using to be able to spread that message faster, to come up with the copy that is going to be most compelling for that audience based on that platform. So OneClick is one of those tools. I also use AnswerThePublic. So AnswerThePublic.com is a website where you actually type in the word or keyword, and it will actually show you in real time, in whatever city that you are in, what are the questions that people are asking about that topic? The who, the what, the when, the why, the how. And it's going to tell you all of the top questions that people are asking about your particular subject matter. So that you'll never run out of things to say, because it's actually going to say, how does matchmaking work? Why do people hire a matchmaker? What happens when you hire a matchmaker? You'll never run out of content when you're using Answer the Public, because again, people's questions change over time.
And where have you seen the most growth in terms of producing content?
It depends on what you mean by growth. Growth doesn't necessarily mean followers. If you're talking about follower growth, I would say that I'm seeing more follower growth on my YouTube channel. When it comes down to growth in terms of interest and people who are wanting to learn about me or work with me, I would say that's Instagram. And now if it comes to media, again, it's a combination of Instagram, my website, because I'm publishing content and blogs. People will come to me for my website and ask me to do a podcast, or my podcast is another source. I'm using every platform. Thanks to OneClick, I'm using YouTube, Instagram, my podcast, my website, TikTok, all of it.
And have you ever found that you come across writer's block because you have to produce all these types of content, the blog, all the descriptions and captions?
Before OneClick, I would say that I had writer's block. And again, I am going to rave about the tools that are really helping me impact my business. And when you can even use OpenAI or ChatGPT and say, hey, can you give me 5 topic ideas around date coaching, or around challenges that men over 50 face? Like, you have to be very specific when you are talking and prompting the ChatGPT. The thing about OneClick is I don't need to do that. It just takes my content and it actually creates all of that for me. So I don't really ever have writer's block when it comes to that. And again, tools like Answer the Public, tools, there's also hashtag creator generator tools as well to help you understand, like, what are people searching for. So nowadays, especially for someone who understands AI and knows the different tools that there are to use, writer's block isn't a thing. It might take me 30 seconds to have writer's block, but there's an AI tool to solve that problem.
And if you woke up tomorrow with 0 followers, how would you grow your audience/fan base from the ground up?
From the ground up, I would just go every day, create a piece of content. When I first started in 2010, and I was known in the dating industry, but not known in the world. If you Googled Carmelia Ray in 2010, I would be on page nowhere. Nobody found me. But what did I do? Every day, I made a commitment to write an article, to blog about the topics that were most challenging for my clients. So if I started nowhere, I would use video, I would use TikTok, and every day I would answer at least a question, like we're doing right now. Where are good men? Where can I find good men? What are high quality men looking for? What mistakes do men make? What mistakes do women make when it comes to dating? What's a good first date? Like, I know my topics very, very well. So I would answer the most commonly asked questions, and I would produce content every single day so that people know that I know what I'm talking about.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, I just think that people need to practice makes progress. And I'll say another thing I've learned in media is your mess is your message. A lot of people are they see things, everything tied in a bow. But when I talk to producers and journalists and I say, what do you look for when you're looking for somebody to be on your show or someone to feature? And most producers are saying, I want a good story. I want something that people can relate to. I don't want something that looks pretty. I want to see the mess. I want to understand the triumph. I want to see the struggle. I want to get really into the meat and potatoes and the dirt and get in the mud with people and find out how is it that they overcame this? How is it that they, came from, struggle to success? So I think what for people need to be more open and vulnerable, because that's really relatable. So don't be afraid to tell a little bit about yourself, because people mainly follow really good stories and stories that are inspiring. So don't be afraid to share your sad stuff.